Good evening and welcome to our third session of Worship and the Word Reimagined, a summer worship and arts summer symposium. My name is Dr. Kathleen S. Turner, and on behalf of our pastoral leadership, Reverend Floyd H. Flake and Reverend Elaine McCollins Flake, we welcome you. Well, guess what? Tonight, we're going to do something a little different. We've been talking about worship in the Word Reimagined. Well, I hope you have had an opportunity to go on Sundays and watch Ignite Children's Church, because on there, you hear singing, you see Reverend Eddie Jordon, who is our youth pastor. You also get a chance to see visual art by Brother Joshua Fullard. And so with that, we are excited because tonight we're going to have what we call non-traditional worship. That's right. Worship in the Word Reimagined. Amen. And so non-traditional worship. What do you do in a pandemic when you can't meet, and yet God still has a word for his people? Our people still have a yearning for God. What do? Worship non-traditional. So I want you to sit back. You may want to get some art supplies, maybe a pencil and some paper. You may want to get your Bibles and notebooks. And guess what? We're going to be blessed with the singing by the Foster Sisters. You don't know them, do you? Well, guess what? After tonight, you're going to get to know them too. So have a blessed time and enjoy non-traditional worship with Reverend Eddie and Brother Joshua and the Foster Sisters. Be blessed.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm so glad to have an opportunity to join you and to present tonight for this next installment of Worship in the Word Reimagined. I remember when it was just Worship in the Word, not reimagined yet, as a younger teenager. And so this moment tonight is very nostalgic for me, but I also am grateful to be able to share in the evolution of this type of ministry that's happening here at the Greater Allen Cathedral. Over this season, I know that this has been a really hard season for many of us moving through the pandemic in life, but especially as Christians, as believers, because our main mode of worship seemed to be taken away from us, right? The platform, the opportunity that we've had. But what it did was it invited us into a moment to become creative, to think outside of the box, to reimagine worship, right? And so one of the things that we were able to do, that I was able to do here at our church, was to do that with our young people, to be able to use technology, other ways of their gifts and their talents, to help them to find ways that they could still connect with God, even though they didn't have a lot of the things that they were used to having as platforms to use for worship. What you'll see tonight is an opportunity that our kids had before, our young people had before, and they'll have another opportunity tonight to share with you some of those ways that they reimagine worship, and hopefully inspire you to do the same thing, and even to encourage the young people who are in your home and those who are having a hard time being able to connect with God in this season. While we're excited about opening back up, I know that we still have some areas where we may be trying to refocus our minds and as we're trying to get back into some of the things that we're used to. I want to open up tonight a little bit just to set the stage with an understanding of what worship really means, right? Just a very simple definition, so that we can understand how we can reimagine it, right? If we're going to reimagine it, we have to kind of establish a baseline first of what it really is. Right, when we talk about worship, the root words of worship, if we look at somewhere, even in Old English, if we take it from there, we're not even going back to the Hebrew yet, but if we just take Old English, right, we find two words in worship: worth and ship. Right, it's this idea that there is something that is being called from us because of worthiness. And when we talk about worship or worship with God, it's this idea that God is absolutely worthy of our response, right? There's something about God. There is something about who God is and what God does that calls for our response, right? And that's where we get this word worship from. And when we look at the model of worship in heaven, we kind of see an establishment of this idea of what worship really looks like, right? There's this establishment even amongst the angels and the hosts, right? There's this projection, this reflection, this call and response, right? That the angels cry, holy, holy, holy. And they go back and forth crying, holy, holy, holy. There's this reflection. There's this idea that they are reflecting the goodness of God back and forth between one another. And that's a powerful display of our worship, because that's really what we are doing. We are only standing as a mirror in front of God, giving back to God what God has already poured out onto us, right? Even if we were to look at the way that God had designed Lucifer, one who we call the chief worship leader in that time, right in heaven, the way that Lucifer was designed, Lucifer's body, his makeup was designed to be a complete reflection of God, so that his breastplate, if you were to take some time and go into it, I don't have all the time to, but you can read about how his chest plate was made to shine and to reflect, to shimmer every time that he moved, right? Because the glory of God would bounce off of and make that reflection. There were instruments that were adorned across his body. So in his movement, the sound would just be a reflection and an expression of worship to God. It's an invitation for us that every part of our being can be used in response and reflection and in worship. And so that's one of the things that we had to do in reimagining worship, right? We had to say, what are some other ways that I can reflect God's goodness? What are some other ways that I can connect with God, right? And tonight you will get an opportunity to see how our young people chose to do that, and ways in which they chose to reflect that goodness and to express their worship. And so I pray that you have this opportunity to enjoy that and to be inspired by them. So let's jump right into it and see what they have to offer. All right, everybody. So as we get ready to go into our moment of worship, our segment together that we'll share in, I am joined here by two lovely ladies of our church here, the Foster Sisters. They're part of our Ignite Sunday School and youth ministry, and they've done so many things at our church in their development. I want to give an opportunity for you to be introduced to them for those of you that do not know them. So I have with me Jasmine and Stephanie Foster. I know that some people will say that they don't know how to tell you guys apart. The truth is, I didn't either at first. So I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourselves so that they can know who you are, which one is which. You can share your age as well so that they know.
As he said, my name is Stephanie Foster. I'm 14 years old. I'm Jasmine Foster, and I'm 16 years old.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So tell us, how long have you all been singing?
I feel like we've been singing for probably our whole lives, but when it really started, it's probably when I first got introduced to Miss Stephanie, if you guys know who that is, Stephanie. She kind of introduced piano to me and Jasmine. Well, for me anyways. She kind of introduced the whole singing thing, which is I got singing from school, and my father, he's my whole family basically is very, very musical, musically inclined. So I kind of just piggybacked off of them in a way.
Nice.
Yeah, me too. We come from a musical family, and I only really started thinking about singing more seriously when I was in about 7th grade. And then me and Stephanie really started singing together and arranging stuff together only a few years ago. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's cool. I'm learning new things about you guys too as well. That's cool. Okay. So for those of you that do not know or didn't get a chance to see it, for Good Friday, we came together and we did this session before. And essentially it was a moment where you guys had an opportunity to sing. and Josh painted in the background, which you get a chance to meet him in a little bit. And it was really just a moment of worship expressed in different ways, right? So for you all, when it comes to worship, how would you define worship? Like in your own words, what would you say worship means to you?
I would say worship is anything that glorifies God. Like, God gives you gifts, and when you use them, you're glorifying Him. So I consider that worship.
Yeah, nice.
Definitely. I feel like you can, if you like are listening to a song, like a gospel song or something like that, you can interpret it in many different ways. When you're listening to our song, when you get to hear that, you can interpret it any way you'd like. It's just about getting that the word of God, getting that and interpreting in your way. And yeah.
Nice. So when it comes to you guys singing, right? And you using that as a way to express your worship, are there moments for you where you sing without an audience, or where you're by yourself, or maybe just with each other? Does that ever happen?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely.
It doesn't necessarily have to be singing, because like we play a lot of instruments. Like I play like piano, guitar. So sometimes it comes with me playing those, or it won't even be music. Like when I feel like, I don't know, overwhelmed or something, like I'll start singing, and that it helps ease my mind a lot.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
It's like music is like kind of like a meditation for me. I listen to music when I'm meditating, or if I'm like doing yoga or whatever, like maybe exercising. I would definitely listen to music. It kind of calms my nerves, and like I think I was listening to music before I even came here. So it's kind of like a little getaway.
Nice. Have you ever been led, like you felt like maybe God spoke to you, or just kind of laid it on your heart to sing a certain song, or you know what I mean, like for a certain occasion or something like that?
I mean, yes. Like this was the first song that we're gonna sing. This was like the first song that we've ever done for like the church, I'd say, by ourselves. And I feel like that the song that we chose was like it spoke to me especially, because during that time I feel like I was kind of a little overwhelmed, and this song just like kind of took that pressure off. So yeah, I think
yeah, I agree as well. Like this song, I was able to relate to it. I was able to relate to it a lot, just because of the message it was sending, and it helped me to realize like certain things, like when I feel overwhelmed, like things I should think about rather than what's stressing me out or what's making me feel that way.
Nice. Now, if we were to turn it outward, right, when it comes to you singing or ministering, right, what is something or some things that you would hope people would take away from being a part of your singing moment, or your moment of ministry?
Like Stephanie said before, it can be interpreted in many different ways, and like with art in general, like singing, dancing, like painting, anything. The purpose of it is to be interpreted and enjoyed. And for us specifically, we're ministering. So I hope what people get is the message that the writer of the song wanted to convey, and certain emotions that we may feel as well. So my hope is, and my goal is always to get people to feel what I feel and like what the song's about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I was saying before, it's like music is like kind of like a getaway to like kind of get out of your head, just trying to breathe, just like focus on yourself sometimes, because like with all the things that are happening in today's society and stuff, it's a really good way to meditate and focus on yourself. So,
Sweet. One last thing for you guys. If there is one thing, right, that you could say to someone who is starting out singing, or maybe they've sang for a while, wherever they kind of fall, but they feel like singing is their way to connect with God, what's one thing you would encourage them with, or to inspire them to kind of grow in that way?
I would definitely say, just like for starters, like keep going.
Yeah.
Do not stop, because if it makes you happy, continue, because this has honestly been, as I keep saying, like a very nice little getaway for me. It's like a relaxing time for me, and it will help you improve on your like maybe like your social skills or whatever, but you know.
Yeah, so I'd say that if you're going for performance, I know sometimes you can tend to focus on what you sound like and how you appear to other people, but just remember that it's like at the end of the day when you're ministering, it's not about you, it's about God and the message you're trying to spread to people. So sometimes you just need to get out of your own head about that. And yeah.
Sweet. I love it. That's great. So we're going to go and jump into this moment of worship. Jasmine and Stephanie are going to lead in song. Brother Joshua Fuller is also going to be painting in the background, and we'll get an opportunity to talk with him. But what song are you guys going to be singing tonight?
Pressure by Jonathan McReynolds.
Sweet. Awesome. So that you guys can be able to go and look that up if you desire to at a later time. We pray that you have a moment to jump in together and share in this moment with us. And we hope you enjoy.
I can't even turn on my phone without being reminded of the lie that I am alone and broken, unsuccessful, and I can't always talk to my friends, 'cause they've got expectations that I may or may not be living up to. I really need to rid myself of the pressure to be someone that you did not create. Jesus, take from me all the pressure to be someone that you did not create. Help me be me, and only see you. Let me decrease and glorify you. Help me, God, help me. I thought my intentions were good, just act like a Christian should, and hope that someone watching would approve and be inspired. But if you're not feeling my show, then how far should I go before all of my accomplishments go down in fire? Just 'cause of the pressure to be someone that the church has made. Jesus, take from me all the pressure to be someone that you did not create. Help me be me, and only see you. Let me decrease and glorify you. Help me be me, and only see you. Let me decrease and glorify you. I just wanna live. I just wanna live for you. Nobody else but you. Oh, I just wanna live. I just wanna live for you. Nobody else but you. Oh, I
just wanna live. I just wanna live for you. Nobody else but you. Take away all the pressure, pressure, pressure to be someone that you did not create.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joshua Fuller, and I'm the artist that did this. Just to take you through my process of doing this work of art for Worship Reimagined, and I'm really happy to do it. I'm really excited about it. Here we have a painting, excuse me, that I did while the two young ladies were singing. And this is the feeling that the song gave to me. And here you have a man here that is feeling under pressure by work, school, money problems, high expectations, identity. And this man isn't representing one individual person. This is representing anybody. It could be you, it could be a man you know, it could be a co-worker, it could be anybody. And you see here that there are angels sent from God to help him like carry this load. And he's doing this because he feels it's like what he has to do. Like these are the burdens placed upon him by society and different problems that he goes through, and hope maybe one of you goes through in your everyday life. He's crying, and I don't know, like he might be going through his mind saying, like, how am I gonna handle this? Like, God help. Like, this is too large a burden for me. But we all know that God doesn't give us too much to handle. And you can see that he's in a river of his own tears. And usually, like, that's when he's feeling at his lowest. And that's when God sent the angels to come and kind of help lift the burden. During my whole schooling and art practice, I've done art that has been particular to Black people and struggles and different things we face on a day-to-day. But with this one, and I'm starting to come to an understanding that I can use this in my worship. And by doing this, I feel like it brings me closer to God, and it provides a little bit more clarity on my relationship with God. It helps to know that although I can draw anything and paint anything that I want, it's also like God saying, okay, you can paint this, but will that reach people and like reach them and direct them towards God like this painting would? And I feel like that's a really awesome feeling, knowing that I have that connection to God, and it's always like a guide to me. And doing this, it feels like, and I know it's out of the norm to worship in this way, but it makes the person feel free to know that they have a gift and that it can bring them closer to God and have them have a closer relationship to God than the regular going down to sit in church and praise the Lord and have the preacher talk to you and to the congregation and everything like that. Like, not saying that's a bad thing, but if you're wired differently and have a gift that allows you to go beyond that, and you can use your own personal and your own personal and own like mental ideas if that's correct, to help you pursue a more close and loving relationship with God. And I just want to say to everybody tonight that it's okay. You can find your way to worship God in your own special kind of way. It doesn't have to be painting, singing, or dancing. It could be poetry, rap, anything that the vibe takes you towards. And it'll make you feel better. It'll help you discover yourself in God and be like a better person, I believe. Yeah.
All right, so I wanted to come back and take a moment to sit with Josh and to pick his brain a little bit, go a little bit deeper into his process. I know you heard him share a little bit about what his experience was like here, even just as well how he moved through his piece and what he chose to do. But I just wanted to take a moment to pick his brain a little bit, ask you some questions just to let the people at home know a little bit more about you, your process, and hopefully to give them a little bit more insight in where they can jump into it as well. So how long, I know you talked a little bit about it, but like, how did you really get into art?
Just by, so my parents, they got me little coloring books.
Nice.
And things like that. And of course, me being the young artist that I was, I didn't go inside the lines. Mm-hmm. I must have been like 4. I was going outside the lines, drawing Superman with a different cape, with heat vision and all this other jazz that was pretty cool, I would say. But yeah, that's basically how I got my real artistic start, I guess.
Nice. That's cool. And I feel like that's so in line with what we're talking about, right? Like coloring outside the lines, absolutely, right? You know, kind of stepping outside the box. That's cool. When you, in terms of art, like at what point did you decide like that art was a good way for you to express yourself to God?
It would probably be around 9th grade. Like I was in an accelerated program for art. They called it Art Visions. And I was just doing these different simple art pieces and things like that.
Nice.
But our teacher decided to get us to delve deeper into like a different art practice. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Like I never really decided to do anything conceptual before. So I decided to just take it home. My dad's a pastor, so I decided to do that and draw him on the pulpit. So I was like, this is really cool. Like, I kind of felt connected to the word, and I was also drawing at the same time when my dad was preaching. So it kind of all came together. It all kind of clicked.
That's so cool, man. That's really cool. I didn't know that. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So for you, like, what would you say would be the difference between, okay, I'm just doing a piece, you know, for the sake of doing it, and like, this is a moment for me to connect with God? Like, what's the difference between the two for you?
Okay, so doing a piece that is centered around something other than God it's not difficult, but it's more challenging because it's I have to look at like an outside world that some people don't believe in God and don't interact like God with God, and then I have to bring myself into it a little bit, and kind of not get involved with what they're doing, but catch a glimpse of what they're all about and just try to understand where they're coming from, but also create an art piece that I feel comfortable with.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah. That's really cool. Like, so, and this kind of leads into this next question I want to ask you, like, you know, kind of feeling a little bit from, you know, you talked about like kind of being influenced to a degree by other people where they're at and some people who may not be as connected to God, right? Like, are there ever moments for you where you kind of start off and you're not connected to it and it kind of switches at some point?
Yeah, I would say sometimes that happens. Like sometimes I felt so disconnected to a piece where I've gone back, taken acrylic black paint, just kind of spread it all around and said, you know what, I'm gonna start completely over.
Wow.
And that's the point where I'm like, okay, what can I do different? Where's the change gonna come in? How can I put more of myself in there? And like, how can I sprinkle my relationship with God in there a little bit too?
Nice. Wow. That's amazing. So like, That, and I say for all the artists out there, if there are any artists that understand that process of like just painting black, I never really, I was always intimidated by paint personally, but could understand that. Like what thing in your process like changes it for you? Is there something that happens that makes you kind of have this aha moment, or that kind of just pulls you in?
Yeah, like whenever I started painting, it's nothing solid. Like it's always open to change.
Okay.
There's nothing that's like concrete until I put pencil to pad or paintbrush to canvas. Like if I decide to draw like a picture of Kanye West or like some other artist, and like I start on their face and I get into it, but then I say, how would Kanye look with like a gold grill, a crown, and like diamonds for eyes, and it just says, okay, I have to go back into it. Let's see how I can work that in,
That's cool, man. Yeah. That's really cool. I hope you guys are getting like a theme here and kind of getting that whole idea of this non-traditional way of, connecting with God. It's just, there's so many fluid ways that you can jump in and out of it, right? When it comes to that connection and being used, right? What's something that you would say to people who may be intimidated, right, about their gift and how God can use them and the way that you feel? Like, what's something encouraging you would say?
Don't be intimidated. Yeah. Like just living your gift and just make it work for you, if that makes sense. Just make it, like if you're insecure about your gift, just make it so that you're not insecure. Make it to come to a place where you feel comfortable, like, okay, I can put this here, but I can't put it nowhere else. Like come through, and don't just stay there. Like come through with some growth too. Like kind of try to push yourself a little bit. Like when I was doing art for the first time, I won't lie, like I was kind of nervous to go in galleries and sell my art a little bit, because like I was a young guy. I was like in 11th grade. I was like just doing some mediocre kind of stuff, and I didn't want to put my work out there because I was afraid that people would say, "Dang, man, like that's kind of trash,"
Yeah.
So I decided to enter into a art show with a sorority. I forget what the sorority is, but for Reverend Lane, I'm saying.
So there you go. I'm about to say it's all good.
It's all good.
No shade.
No shade. But it really opened me up. Like it was like kind of like a contest kind of thing too. So I didn't get like the grand award and the scholarship and everything like that. But a lot of my work got honorable mentions. So I was like, dang, so somebody does like my work,
Yeah.
Like this is something I can really vibe with. So I kind of just ran with it and kind of put my work out there and made it for everybody to enjoy.
Nice. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I think so many times people get intimidated, you know what I mean? Like, and even just if it's just to do something like this, like a moment with God, some people feel like, I don't know if it's going to be good enough or meaningful enough. So I love what you said there. Well, I want to thank you, man, for sharing. I hope that you all are encouraged by this. Again, Josh has said it so many times. It doesn't have to be art, but this is just an example of just how far out of the box you can go when it comes to worshiping with God. So we hope that you get inspired by this moment. Well, everybody, we hope that you had an opportunity to enjoy this moment of worship and display of artistic, non-traditional worship here with us. I am joined once again with the Foster sisters, Jasmine and Stephanie, as well as Joshua Fuller. You had an opportunity to hear from him and to see his work as well. And I want to take a moment just to talk with them really quickly about this segment. We heard from them separately, but we want to talk to them together just to kind of get their input of what it was like being in the same space with one another. So I want to ask you guys, I know we've done this before. This was the second time doing this. Talk a little bit about how it was being in the same space together.
Okay. Okay, I'll go. I feel like it was really cool to like see the outcome of what he created, listening to us sing. I feel like it was cool to see what he portrayed, what he thought of like when he was listening to our singing. I think it was really cool to see. Like I saw it and it was really, really cool. Good job, really good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Like just seeing how someone interpreted it, like, you know, in front of you. Because usually, you know, if you're like on a stage, you can't see what people actually think. So now you see what was in that person's head and, you know, what they were thinking. And, you know, it came out really great. So, yeah.
Thanks. It was really, really cool. Like, I've always done it to different songs like that off the internet and things like that. But doing it live with these young ladies and having their talent expressed like through my art also is phenomenal. Like, you always hear it on the internet and, you know, you hear those celebrities hitting those high notes and those riffs and those killer beats in the background. But to hear it live and hear some natural voices and hear them like having fun with it, it was amazing. It was great.
Nice. Sweet. I think that's so cool because like we had talked about in the beginning, right, that there are moments where, you know, you have different ways that you want to be in worship, right? Or you want to have that moment with God. And there are times where you can have that vibe, if you will, with one another. But then there are times where you just kind of get lost in your own moment, right? And I think that's a little bit of what worship is about, just having your personal moment with God, but also being able to share in that experience with one another too, in different ways. And like you said, you know, you have a moment to see, well, what is Josh going through? What is my sister going through? Or what are you going through? And you can see that they're all different, right? I think that's really cool. I wanted to ask you guys as well, in this space, right, what other ways do you think for people out there who may be a little bit intimidated with singing or with, you know, painting? Some people would say I can draw a stick figure, that's about it. But what other ways do you think that people could join in this space together and express, you know, their gifts and talents?
I think people, if you like can like just like get an instrument that you can play and you can just like play in the background or play like by yourself, and it'll be a really, really nice experience. So you can go to the next one.
Yeah, I would say, you know, whatever you're good at, you think that would, you know, be well incorporated, like, you know, a live, you know, people playing actual instruments in front of you, or like somebody dancing, like I feel like it would fit really well with what we're doing, just to see, because either like for all of those are different ways that people are interpreting whatever the song's about or whatever, because, you know, you can look and see what other people are doing and how they interpret one thing. So that's why I think it's interesting.
I think it's all about your like your gift. Like, it doesn't have to be art, it doesn't have to be singing, it doesn't have to be dance, rapping, or any of that. As long as you can speak, I feel like you have this gift, you know? Like Eddie, he's a preacher. He has the gift of the word. They sing. I do art. Like, I'm not saying it has to be that, but you can do like spoken word, like poetry. Like even basketball players, like, come on, like they have a gift and they have a platform, and it's a great thing to be able to express that gift and use it for God.
Yeah, I love that. That is really dope. Because you guys said that a little bit earlier too. Like, you know, just whatever way you have a gift that ministers to other people, that reflects God's goodness, right? Like, if I'm gifted, God gave it to me. And if I'm using it, then I'm glorifying Him, right? So I think that's really cool. That's really awesome. Well, guys, I want to say thank you for sharing this moment, your gifts and your talents, and expressing it to everyone, to encourage them, you know, how to step outside of the box. I think one of the biggest things, obviously, in the pandemic is we've just had to think differently, you know, and we hope that this was an opportunity for you all to see that. So I pray tonight that you had an opportunity to participate in the moment that we shared together, and that you had a moment to be inspired to see what ways can you reimagine worship? What ways can you think outside of the box, right? What ways can you practice non-traditional worship? I want to leave us with this passage of scripture just as a form of encouragement and empowerment for us as we talk about worship, right? The Bible gives us this scenario where Jesus encounters this woman, right, in Samaria. We know this story as the woman at the well. They have this long dialogue, and you can read it in John chapter 4 if you ever get a chance to in your personal time of study. But I want to point out one thing that was so significant and I think means so much for us in this season when we talk about worship. While they were talking, the woman said that, our ancestors gathered in this mountain for worship, right? And she even kind of threw a little jab and said, although you Jews say that worship is supposed to happen in the temple. And Jesus responds to her and he breaks it all down. He says, there's a time coming when we will neither gather in Jerusalem at the temple or in the mountain. But he says the hour comes and now is. I want you to hear that prophetic declaration. The hour comes and now is when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth, because the Father is seeking such to worship him. I think that this is such a prophetic statement and something we can embody right now, because we are living in that time. We are neither gathering in Jerusalem or in the mountain, but wherever we are, we embody worship to the Lord. If that's through art, if that's through singing, if that's through dancing, if that's through technology, if that is through journaling or poetry, through sports, in any way, shape, or form that you are using your being to be a reflection and glorify God, you are entering into worship. I pray that this time was a moment of inspiration for you and encouragement. And before we go, I want to take a moment and invite you into another form of worship in which we all participate in, and that is through giving. The reality is that while we understand that God is not necessarily prizing our money, right? But we know that that's something we hold dear to us. And one of the ways in which we worship God is when we offer that to him for his use. In the same way we do our gifts, right? That is also one of our gifts as well. And so we offer that to God. I want to invite you to sow a seed tonight into this ministry. I know that you have been blessed all year long, a year and a half now, right? That we've been here. And so I want to encourage you to sow a seed tonight to help us to continue to offer great ministry like this. The truth is that we're not stopping. It's still going. And we're able to do that because you continue to partner with us and you continue to sow into this ministry. The prompts are on the screen at the bottom, many ways that you can give at your convenience. But I encourage you that you would sow tonight so that we can continue to be a blessing to this house and we can continue to do great ministry like this. I want to take this moment to thank Dr. Turner for this opportunity and for establishing this platform for us to think about how we reimagine worship. And I pray that you will continue to be blessed and that you would tune in as we continue to dive deeper into worship and the word reimagine. I'm excited and I pray that you are. Hope that you have a great night and God bless.